And before I hand over the platform to Neha, let me have the pleasure of introducing her formally to all of you. After her completing her BTech from NIT Durgapur, she started working for 2 years. She worked for 2 years in Tata Motors Hitachi as assistant manager, sourcing of metal components for all models of heavy earth moving equipments. After that, she has done her MBA from the prestigious SB Jain Institute of Management Research, SBJMR, between 2009 and 2011. After that, she joined, in fact, since then, she has been with some of the marquee FMCG companies, starting with P&G between 2011 and 2014. And after that, after her stint at P&G, she was with uh, another great marquee company, and that is Unilever, where she worked for 4 years and 9 months, and the last assignment being a global supply chain manager for Ponds. And since then, since March 2021, she has been with this great company, global MNC, and that is Diageo. And currently, she's the Vice President, Global E2E Supply Planning Transformation, a Project Voyager. And in this capacity, and she's been working from November 2022. And she's going to take us through the idea of the digital supply chain management, as well as some of the sophisticated tools and techniques that have been deployed across the globe, definitely in FMCG sector as well. And like I said, in the chat box, I'm sure we will have great, actionable insights from this brief lecture, although it's going to be very brief, just about maybe 45 minutes, followed by your Q&A. But let's look forward to her very illustrious experience in this domain. Over to you, Neha.
Hi all, good evening, and thank you, Dr. Nagendra, for giving me this opportunity to, connect with a lot of people here, share the experience. And frankly speaking, I always take these things as an opportunity to learn myself. So I'm more than presenting, I'm more interested in the questions you will ask and how we discuss those situations and scenarios. So feel free to throw any tough or easy questions, because anything I'll learn definitely. So, see, the mode of today is I've taken more sharing from my experience, what I've gone through, you can say some tough experiences, some challenges, and I'm very sure most of you must have felt something similar in your work life. Dr. Nagendra already shared my introduction, but I can say I'm very blessed and fortunate that way, because being in a supply chain, very rarely you get an opportunity to work in manufacturing, to lead a supply chain, to work in procurement, to work in digital excellence. So thankfully, in my career, I have been able to touch everything. And right now, what I'm doing is one of the biggest projects in Diageo to turn around the supply planning. Basically, it's all the digital processes across the world, but I'm focusing on supply planning mostly. So P&G, Unilever, Tata, Diageo, I take as my alma mater more than as my company or the job. Also, a little lighter stuff. I love to photograph. So you see a lot of photographs on my phone everywhere. I love to trek, vanish, disconnect myself, and whatever opportunity I get, I try to trek. I love photography. I do painting. And I love to connect with people. That's why online lectures, I was telling Dr. Nagendra before the session started that I'm more comfortable with people, face to face, connecting with them. This is my first time I'm talking to and people I don't know in such a online format. So help me with a lot of questions so we can interact more after this PPT. And these are things which are very close to my heart, the people I've worked, the success we have got. I always tell people I've baptized by fire. If the production lines were not running, this is the team I worked together and we made it happen. Big changes, people management changes, some awards I got. So this is my life story. I wanted to know a bit about you guys also. You can say more like an introduction in a quick form. So you can help me by opening menti.com on your phone and enter this code 6269112. I'll give you a minute. Open menti.com on your phone and enter this code. And this will take you to a question of this. Yeah. So I want to see the experience or the people we are working with it. So can you help me answer? I think this question will be flashing on your screen. What domain the audience is from? It will help me, formulate my examples and stuff I'm sharing. So are you guys able to do that? The code is 6269112. So one guy has answered, so the link is working, the Menti I've designed is working. Thank you for that. So we have only 1% from supply chain, rest 25 are from which fields? I hope you are able to open menti.com. This is on in the left bottom corner. You can see menti.com. The code is 6269112. Nice, nice. Marketing and supply chain are usually, best friends in a reverse way. I hope rest of you are able to open menti.com. The supply chain is leading the scope. Others is also okay. I like this this live game usually. And sometimes I put very funny questions to the answers can be very surprising. But I like Menti that way to see the live responses. Good. So the people from other definitely I'll get some interesting questions then I assume. I'm waiting the count to at least reach 15 so that at least I can know at least 60-70% of the audience I know where are they from. I'm surprised nobody's from finance here. Not at all. Not even one. Cool. So I think we are touching the numbers. So I can say we are really a diverse crowd. So I'm expecting a lot of interesting questions. My next question in the same Menti will get is, what is supply chain digitization means for you or digital supply chain means for you? You can write anything. The first word comes to your mind. Please help me with that. So I'll also get a hang of the expectations from the session also. What is the first thing which comes to your mind? Convenience, yes. Very convenient if it is very digital. Yes, efficiency. And by the way, I want all the people who are there in the session, all those 28 people, since you are spending your Saturday evening, make me slog. So make me answer a lot of questions, challenge and be very participative, I'll request. So
Vinod,
make your
can you
Saturday
put
evening
that thing in the chat in the menti.com? Vinod, your answer on transparency. Somebody's put here in the Q&A box.
Yeah. So yes, I agree with all the words written here, more or less. Some are tools to achieve, most of the things are output of, I can see, digitization. Some are, yes, a modern supply chain tools. But yes, so I got a hang of it. What do you people? So you guys, by the way, you can keep on putting it during the session also. Huh? So these questions will not vanish. In the end of the session, we can open this thing again and see. So I'm going back to the original slide. So for all the people who are core supply chain, we have what we have learned traditionally, that service cash cost. just keep on balancing them. And there's always a tussle whether service or cash. Should I keep more inventory to give the service, or should I sacrifice service, save the cash? Or I invest a lot of in the capacity, invest some cost. It's a non-stop tussle, and we are always as supply chain managers busy in that. But when COVID happened, like it was an eye opener for all of us who were. I was in a hardcore supply chain. I was managing pond supply chain that time, and before that, I was managing hair and deos, and it wasn't like a shock. All my suppliers are somewhere sitting in China, and overnight everything was taken. All our traditional learning was thrown out of the window because COVID taught us like the disruptions are here to stay. They will always come, and are we ready for that? Whatever we have learned in past may not no longer be valid for the future now. With the pandemics, followed by Swiss Canal, followed by container shortage, then there are wars, and every time we can't look at the past and predict the future. For example, the first thing we learn in COVID times were demand planning. The traditional method of do linear regression, take the last 3 years data, create the demand. Now, suddenly, first of all, you can't predict any demand in COVID, depending upon the category. Somebody is exploding at 300% growth, like your sanitizers, something like face care, deos have crashed. So it was completely out of hands. At the same time, you see that your upstream supply chain is a bit shaken, how to immediately create new suppliers. So there were a lot of challenges coming overnight for us, and how we tackle them. Past was no longer helping us. We had to immediately look only at the future and predict versus react. We had to predict now. So I was in common challenges in my experience, which I see across. First is master data. Master data means your raw material data, your plant codes, so it is across the company. It is not like one company. And nobody deliberately is killing the master data. It's just that people get so sucked up operationally to manage the service and manage the cash. But somewhere, somehow, the cleanup of master data, every time doing the things right, accurately for thousands and thousands of code doesn't happen. So master data is some kind of mundane job, you can see, which gets ignored in the day-to-day operations many times. Second, if you see fragmented processes, if you go deep dive in every company, in every process, many times you will not see the synergy. Like, and I'm not talking about within supply chain. If you see marketing is fighting their competition who is launching products in 1 month. Backward, there was one supply chain to launch products in 10 days. Upstream supply chain has to manage a lot of processes, a lot of gates of innovation. So, things, what is needed in the customer side is not happening at the upstream many times. At the same time, yes, digitisation is not a new word. All the companies are doing bits and pieces. They are part of it. Something they are doing in digital demand planning. Somebody is doing something in supply planning. But the overall harmonious visualization or the strategization is not happening many times. And you're stuck. Like, you want to immediately solve one issue, you launch a digital tool in inventory. Then you want to solve demand planning, you launch as a digital tool in demand planning. 2-3 years down the line, you're confused, like how to link these two tools, or how to make my whole innovation thing manage, and how marketing can also see the data. So these all things become like a confusion and complexity. And finally, all of these lead to a very slow response to any kind of disruptions. I gave you COVID examples. And last and foremost, which I feel very important, that is now the capability of people to work with these digital tools. Everybody is shouting AI, but even Power BI, forget about AI. Even if you go 2 steps behind to Power BI, you won't find 100% of the population in every company comfortable to manage a Power BI, use a Power BI, use the statistics there to do their own analysis, create their own dashboards. Everybody cannot do that. Somewhere down the line, some people are too experts and some people are a little bit left behind. They will be expert in their own stuff in traditional ways. But now, since the things are evolving so fast, to bring everybody at the same level of capability is a very big need right now. So it's like a wish list. We all want our products to be in the market as fast as possible. We want no disruptions to impact us. Whatever happens, our things should not stop. At the same time, we want good cash, good cost, but we want to be ready for the future also. So we don't want to keep very heavy inventory, but we want to be prepared for the future. So a lot of ifs and buts. And finally, we don't want to react anymore. We want to be very predictive. Sitting here, I want to know what will happen in next year, December, how will be my demand rate then, and not using only the traditional linear regression models of past 3 year sales. That will not work I don't know what will happen 6 months, 1 year. So I want something more than traditional methods to give me more predictive analysis and predictive predictions versus working on the traditional data or traditional methodologies. So I was going through my own experience of how, because as I said, luckily I was also planning excellence in Unilever. I'm part of supply planning in Digital Voyager project in India. So in sum total, I have been through these multiple phases in multiple companies, and I have tried to map these into steps. And for many of you, it will not be a rocket science or something you are hearing first time, but this is experience, which I wanted to put in a form of some steps. And what my feeling is, if your leadership is sponsoring from top, that yes, we need to move more digital versus more Excel based or more, traditional way, that is the first step needed. And at the same time, they need to decide that we want to you cannot be excellent in everything in your company. So you can say, okay, in my demand planning, I want to be world number one in all across the industry. You can say, like across FMCG, I want to be the number one cable in supply planning or this, or you can choose that I want to be good in everything. Secondly, then you need to know what is the roadmap. You want to do in 5 years, you want to do in 10 years, you want to do what. And then finally creating that the board can decide, but how it percolates down from the board to the senior level management, the mid-level management, and finally to the grassroots level, the people who have to use those tools. Because ultimately at the leadership level, many times good dashboards are sufficient, but how the day-to-day these fancy tools or the big tools need to be used, because one counter of excitement is always the fear of jobs. Because I've seen that also when I was managing one big change management, and you're introducing a new tool, that people who are doing the same stuff for 30 years, they will not ask directly, but indirectly you'll get the buzz that will it take away my job? Are you digitizing everything? So managing that change management is a big thing. And how leadership tackles that is very critical. Once you have that in your pocket, then you move to the next step that, okay, there are some companies who will have, as I was giving you example, you can have demand planning separate tool, you can have supply planning separate tool. And now, do you want to clean everything and bring everything in like a green field, or you want to do blue field, like let's create a third ROI, robotic process automation, RPI, connects the, automate some part, keep some part simple, AI. It is, that choice you have to make. And one very big choice I personally feel is which vendor or which partner you want to go with. You want to go with, there are many, like I will take from my industry the name like Anaplan, Kinaxis, OMP, O9, Era. Which one you want to go actually with? Because a huge investment, like marriage. For professional like us, it's like a marriage. Because once you start working with them, it's very difficult to back out. So you need to have that confidence. You need to have resource your side, their side, to develop those logics, tools, and so that they can customize and final solution can be created. And finally, what is success criteria? Like I have seen some cases where people have done a digital tool to supply planning automation, that now their process order, planned order will be all automated, created by the demand. So I asked them, okay, very good. How are you measuring that people are using it and not creating it manually like old days? So they said, no, we have not kept any measure around that, but we have launched the tool. So you need to be very sure that if system is generating you 10 suggestions, are people using those 10 suggestions, or using only 5 suggestions, or using only 2 suggestions from the system? That is your success criteria. So quantification is very critical. And finally, the big and small milestones, how you're celebrating the success and everything. So these are your strategy part. Now the execution. When you go to execution, the first mountain, if you can scale, is data. If you can scale that, I feel then I feel that almost 90% job gets done. Because if you are able to capture all the data, some is sitting in Excel, some is sitting in mail, some is sitting in some local softwares, SAP, then you combine, if your system, whichever tool you're launching, if it is able to read data through everything, and you're able to set right rules to clean that data. And there are many tools, by the way, MDG and Sanity, and a lot of other stuff is working in this area. Era is also there. So data quality is one big thing many people are working. And how then once you have data, then everything is, I feel, very easy. Then rest of the thing you can, all the change management you can do. Automation, you want to do simple automation, you want to do AI based, you want to just augment your decisions. This is like relatively becomes much easier. Now, when all these things when are happening, the biggest thing I feel is capability of the people. You cannot do this kind of mega change managements in your company if only 2-3 people in your company know how to use that tool. And capability, by the way, is not only to use the tool, but also the belief in the tool. The belief that, okay, I will be able to use OMP or APO or ERA to create my plan order versus doing it myself in Excel. that belief has to brought in people, because and sometimes it is hardware, software, that is strategy, but sometimes that, like example giving leadership. If you are as a leader reviewing your daily production plans and you see the reports and dashboards, and if people are presenting you the numbers in Excel, but you have already launched some dashboards and some tools, and if you, to save time, if you don't ask for that dashboard and you still keep on doing the Excel because your people are telling that data is not clean, so dashboard is not giving right. And it's a very common answer I've heard in my career also, that dashboard is not giving right suggestion because data is not right, so let's stick to the Excel. If as a leader you give up that time, rather than asking why, what is needed to clean this data in the dashboard, versus you start accepting the using the Excel, automatically you will lose the battle. So ongoing capability, the belief of people in the digitization is very critical. Next, buzzword I want to touch in artificial intelligence and fear, and some simple thing. And see, I'm also not an expert. I try to do some course from MIT. It's still ongoing. I have to complete it to understand the statistics behind AI, how it functions and all. But in summary, it's very simple. It is using all the existing data from your space and the parallel space, and it is learning and creating the suggestions and solutions for you. Now, how much powerful it will become, how much impact it will have in 10 years down the line, even I don't know. It's a question mark. We all are asking to each other. It's a fear or a hope. It's a fear or a hope. So a lot of questions around this. For me, I feel that we are already indirectly or tacitly surrounded by it. Whether you see your Google Homes or Alexas, or how Amazon keeps on suggesting me to buy certain books or toys, or see Alexa is still hearing me. How Google is suggesting you to, what is my Alexa has started. How your Google keeps on suggesting you and how the data is getting analyzed, it is all around us. We can't help it. Now, at the same time, when the kind of agility we need, the predictive, the proactiveness we need, it's not possible by human analysis right now. We all agree that. And in COVID, as people say that 2 months, 2 years of work got done. So we have to adapt to it. It's a moving bus. If we don't take it, we will be left behind. That's the only thing I feel personally myself to stay relevant. Now, if I break the AI's thing into strategy, like what companies approaches they should, and there's a good article, I can share the link later in the chat. But AI to implement, it is a choice again. It goes through the thing I was saying as a strategy. What approach you want to take? Whether you want to just use AI, like we have used it many times, we call it RPI and all. You just put some rules, let it crawl through your data in the system and let it create the reports. Very simple, rule-based stuff. It will keep on doing for you. It will keep on doing for you. It doesn't, you are still in charge basically. Or you can just give it a little bit more power. You allow it to throw some suggestions, some alerts, your inventory is going high. I don't know how many of you must, but Outlook has this, it gives you a weekly analysis sometime in some companies that you had this many mails influx this week, you spend this much time in reading mail, returning mail, and some kind of summary comes in Microsoft weekly. Or you allow it a coach like Era, I'll show you some examples, but basically it gives you scenarios that seeing the predictive machine learning based demand, it gives you that, okay, these are the scenarios. If you plan, these are the inventory situations you can land. These are the service issues you can have or not have. So it gives you more scenario. Or finally, you completely give it the power, independent mode. And I don't know any example in supply chain where you completely give it the power, except in some data quality C-class materials, you can give that. But it's like a work in progress across the industry right now. As I was telling you, Era's example, Era is one of the tools I mostly follow. So I want to just show you that example of Era here.
What is the cost of an unmade decision? Despite your investments in supply chain technology, despite your investments in supply chain go unaddressed. Countless missed opportunities for revenue or cost savings. Each one a missed opportunity for revenue or cost spikes in demand. Determining the best supplier mix or looking for sustainable shipping options. The volume of decisions to be made each day has grown beyond your team's ability to keep up. What's needed is a new approach to decision-making across your enterprise. The solution is Era Decision Cloud, the decision intelligence platform that digitizes, augments, then automates decision-making. Era harmonizes data from your supply chain planning solutions and other enterprise systems and becomes your virtual business analyst, delivering data-driven, real-time recommendations that can be executed at the click of a button. Accept a recommendation, and Era writes back to your systems of record, orchestrating processes across your enterprise to execute the decision. Era captures the outcome and learns from these results to inform future recommendations. From mitigating supply risk, to resolving shipping delays, to aligning marketing decisions with your supply chain, Era addresses decisions at the moment of maximum impact, freeing your team to focus on strategy and long-term goals. With Era Decision Cloud, the future of decisions is here, now. What
So I just showed you one of the marketing, you can say, pictures of Era, and I think it's best explains that using not only using your past data, but also using what is happening in your surroundings, what is happening in, for example, it can capture, that if past plus whatever happening in that marketing area and stuff, it can predict better that rather than just producing this much, you should produce little more or little less to manage your inventory. And then see, I don't know how many of you have used APO or seen the APO interface, but yes, sometimes the interfaces also becomes more jazzy, more user-friendly. So that things more appealing for modern users of supply chain, I can say. So like Era, there are many other tools like this OMP, there is O9, there is Kinaxis, there are many. And they have the ability to customize themselves as a customer wants. Like if Unilever wants this dashboard, they can create that. If P&G wants this, they can do that. If Diageo wants something else, they can do that. So that is their biggest strength, I feel, that they can customize themselves a lot. So as I was telling, I will touch on the surface level because the audience is very diverse today. So this was my last slide. I hope I was able to balance the information in a way, what is happening in the digital space in supply chain these days. But I would love to have a lot of questions from you guys. Any question is okay. Because if you're not from supply chain and you feel that will it make sense, don't worry, just ask the question. So over to you, Dr. Nagendra. So.
Thank you, Neha. I think it's a brief but a very comprehensive presentation on the digital supply chains. And we have quite a few questions. Let me take the first one. In fact, he has got two. This is from Umesh SP. And his first question is how to manage supply chain in batch quantity manufacturing. And the follow-up one is since I'm working in aerospace sector earlier, I'm in mass production supply chain at hydraulic. I did not find any failure in my delivery, but in aerospace sector, I'm finding difficult to achieve my deliveries on time. Thank you, Mesh.
See, I think the second question is which I'm easy to understand directly. See, if it's a very if your supply chain you are not able to meet your deliveries on time, the easiest question is balance your supply chain. Balance your either capacity, and if you cannot increase your capacity, you put an inventory somewhere in between that supply chain. And see, I was in this situation a few years back where the predicted growth was 11%, but actual growth was 27%. So whatever factory I had, machines I had, was never able to cope up with the deliveries. So first, you need to sit down and match the numbers. That what is the sales right now, what is my capacity is made for, and what I'm delivering right now. Just first of all, match these three factors. Once you match these three factors, definitely find a gap, either in your capacity or what you're producing for. And sometimes, by the way, you can say that output is also not happening as per the capacity. That is the fourth problem. Your output efficiency can be, bad. Then you have to fight with the factory people. But ultimately, once you balance, you can take a call. If it is a short-term pull of demand, you can plan to keep an inventory, temporary inventory. But if you see a sustained thing, then you have to start reviewing your capacity, whether you need to invest in all. So it's a very typical steps we follow. And how to manage supply chain and batch quantity manufacturing. So see, usually after you make the batch, there will be some kind of assembly or some kind of delivery steps. So I need to understand this in more detail, like what kind of batch, because I used to produce sauce batches. But once I produce those sauce batches, they used to go in tankers for their packing. So what part you are facing a difficulty to manage here? You manage the raw material part or the planning part or the demand part? Which part is hampering you? If you can help the question better, then I'll be able to answer better.
Sure. I think in the meanwhile, let's take the next question. And Umesh, if you have any further supporting information for the first question, you're most welcome to put it. Now, this is a question from Dr. Akanksha. Her question is how AI can help in medical supply chain. Thank you, Dr. Akanksha.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Akanshan. Actually, when I was reading about AI a few years back, the first example came from medical field. The AI is the first, the biggest use of AI is happening in medical field, especially in the testing area, because I was reading that when they do this drug testing, earlier they, the data you need to achieve or the time you need to take to test those drugs, now it has massively shortened by using AI. And like how they, compare the data analysis. In fact, myself, now I moved to AI-based medical health checkup. So it doesn't only diagnoses your data, it prognoses by comparing similar situation and similar people. If they met some kind of health issue in future, it can predict for me also that I will also health future in my scans. Neura is the thing, Neura is the company which does this. So if Dr. Akansha you can ping me separately, I can share you exact article which is dealing on the medical thing. But it gives you all the sort of example, medical insurance, drug testing, everything they are using AI these days to shorten the amount of people and time they needed to test anything right now.
Yeah, I think Abhijit has a question. Abhijit, may I request you to put it in the Q&A box so that it becomes easy for us to. Now, there's a question from Rajesh Raut, and his question is, I am from quality and working with SCM team. What I have seen is that SCM always emphasizes on cost and delivery and not giving that much importance to quality. What is your view on this?
See, where is Rajesh? So Rajesh, I was production manager. If you had seen, so so with quality, I had owned my own stories. But again, everything I feel boils down to your leadership many times. So when I was in production head, I had situations where the whole batch had to be scrapped. The whole batch had to be scrapped. And as a production manager, I have seen if your management is very relaxed and let it, do some sampling, do some quality test, let it go. Yes, it is true that every time speed and service is given more importance than, scrapping the product and giving adherence to quality. But my feeling is will not help the company long, because I've seen my alma mater is PNG. In PNG, the adherence to quality is so strict that if I've seen batches getting scrapped in money, don't ask me, but it is all very much leadership focused. If the company gives more importance to the leadership and the vision of the company is more about service and cost and ignoring quality, they will not survive for very long, because see, ultimately products are coming to consumers, no? As a consumer, we won't use the product automatically, and sooner or later things will decline. So I have seen the situation on both sides. I have seen the situation where we have with the quality team done some batch sampling and but my approach is also to fix this, because the quality people are also the best people to tell how to fix that issue. So I won't go in the detail, but I had done some projects specifically with the quality people to solve that issue, so that every time I don't have to enter into that discussion that why the batch has some issue.
Great. And this is a question from Vinay Goyal. His question is about warehouse utilization, Neha. For example, 4 orders are from Delhi and 2 orders are placed in the warehouse, which is in Gurgaon, and the rest 2 orders are from Mumbai. Due to this, not able to utilize the warehouse, maybe due to poor forecasting. So how can I increase the efficiency of forecasting? Thank you, Vinay.
4 orders from Delhi and 2 orders placed in the warehouse, which is in the Gurgaon. And 2 orders are from Mumbai due to this. So, Vinay, are you from supply chain area? May I ask? It will be easy. See, because I'm using a technical hub and spoke model, you must have heard. So we had some cases, because warehouse forecast efficiency, as I said, it's the biggest gamble, or you can say we use all the regression, we use AI now, everything just to improve the forecast accuracy, but I have never seen it going above 76%. So there will always 30-35% of question mark. And everything backward impacts supplier, impacts our warehouses, the clogging. So how we used to tackle is that we used to assess the seasonality very strongly. That, okay, some months should we keep extra warehouses, some month we just bank on, main warehouse. And we used to create a model that, okay, but it needs some kind of analysis when it's not very easy. You have to see that which you have to tackle that. Okay, this particular month, this particular area, this these orders are more. So do I create a small hub there for only these seasons? So this way you have to keep on playing the game till you are able to crack it. So we used to play that game for Lebanon in Indonesia. We used to only 1 month. Like that is a temporary spike. You are saying that clogging. You must have heard we used to sometimes keep containers also. By the way, you have you outside your warehouse in the open area. Sometimes it's raw supply chain practice. You keep extra containers to stuff, and then once your job is done, send back the containers. Not a detention one, by the way. Normal container kind of rooms, temporary warehouses we call them. Or you can, if your warehouse is in some kind of, nowadays many times the warehousing contracts are not, you don't own the warehouse, you just hire the pallet space, you expand, you reduce, you expand, reduce depending upon your need. So many times big companies, we don't invest in big warehouses, we hire the pallet space of other people's warehouses, and once we hire more pallets, we need less, we reduce the pallet space.
Good. This is a question from Mr. Abhijit Malik. His question is, when you have a situation like COVID, how do you use old data?
COVID was, as I was telling you, it's an eye-opener. I was in Unilever that time, and sanitizer grew like 300%. The manufacturing has to be set up immediately. The demand of the past was not working. So that time, old data frankly doesn't work. Your maximum your machines, your people are the thing which save you, and your capability. Your demand has to be very from the field, as we said. Your force in your market in the field help you. So your demand is called bottom up. You immediately calculate, not based on the regression, but immediately you take a bottom up numbers that where you think things going, like which area, how many orders you are getting, stuff like that.
And his follow-up question is also, how do you tackle approval of new vendors from your customers?
Which question? I can't see.
Last one. Is Abhijit's follow-up question.
And how to tackle approve new vendors from? So new vendors from our customers. I don't think for vendors we need approval from our customers. See, customers need maybe because I've worked with organizations which are already very well set up, P&G, Unilever. So they don't have to do anything with our suppliers. Our product quality is our responsibility. We have our own supplier approval matrix, which is very, very stringent. It takes good effort to become supplier for these companies. But once they are supplying to us, you're producing the product, your product quality is what your customers care about. They don't care about your vendors, never experience that situation. Sorry.
And this is again next question from Rajesh, and his question is: we are a project-based company, and we have lots of inventory at our premises. Let's say we are a 110 crore company. Against that, we have 14 crore of inventory. How to control or minimize the inventory?
It's a huge inventory based on your revenue size. Very huge inventory. And see, inventory. It's a very general question. If you can understand, Rajesh, it's a very, very general question. What product you made, what is your supply chain, what batches you make. So I can actually offline help you consult and design. It's just for my learning. But see, inventory depends upon what kind of inventory are you carrying. If you are carrying chemicals which are coming 3 months from somewhere else, then there is no harm. We used to carry some chemicals. Our vendors used to carry for us for 3 months because they are coming from some very far locations in Germany or somewhere. In that time, ships and all you can't trust. But depends. If you are carrying FG inventory, then it's a problem. See, the first step is never carry FG. Always carry RMPM inventory, raw material and pack material. If you carry FG inventory, then it's a huge problem. So first, FG should be minimum. And depending upon your downstream supply chain from your factory till it reaches the customer, if it is not very far and not too much time taking, maximum some companies can know 2-3 days of FG inventory also, but at least 1 week. And upstream, then you see, depending upon your vendor base, like we used to have a matrix. If my vendor is in the same city, we used to keep hours of inventory. If in the same country, we used to keep, at least 2-3 days of inventory. If it is imported, then you can decide. So you have to plot your vendors in a matrix, same city, same country, or same in the world. And then you plot that what inventory strategy you want to follow with them.
And this is again a second question from Mr. Umesh. His question is, how does AI help in inventory control and meeting the forecast of marketing demands? Does it really help us to save cost and delivery on time to the end customer?
Yeah, it does. See, that is the only reason why all of the companies are slowly moving to these softwares. Like the Era example I gave, Umesh, you can see similar with OMP and O9. They are more digitally savvy. They live dashboards. They show you that based on this demand, this amount of production planned in your orders, you will land excess inventory. Your graph is going up. Or with this, you will land in a net direct inventory. So, it's more predictive versus what used to happen, I think in 15, 20 years back, that after inventory is gone, then, inventory, our sales happened very bad. And then now inventory has landed this much because we used to depend on a lot of Excel dashboards and Power BI dashboards. But now it's very live data because what is happening if I'm sitting today, what is my order in the system for today for sales? What is my production plan in the system for today? What is my demand in the system? I can live see everything that my demand is my order, it is my production, this is my inventory up or down. So it's very live versus everything was very reactive. That you close the month, now you start comparing all the numbers in your Excel that okay, I had planned for this, but I produced this, and my God, sale only happened this. Now I'm doomed.
Absolutely. And this is again follow-up question from Mr. Abhijit. His question is about in auto industry. Normally, the OEM wants to control on supplies support, especially to safety components.
Yes, we did. Because see, suppose example of if you have read the Toyota TPM, not Toyota Production Management. Now it's my like way long back. I was trained in that some how many years back. But yes, I was very lucky to have visited Hitachi factories. Hitachi factories that time in Japan. I was posted there for 2 months, and I was amazed. Even the vendors loaded the stuff in truck in the sequence. The cars were or the machines were supposed to be assembled on the line. Can you imagine? The trucks used to be parked next to the assembly line. The crane used to pick the part, like the counterweights of the. I was in the heavy earth moving divisions excavator, so I was amazed that the parts in the loaded in the truck in a way that the line will do the assembly of different models of the vehicle. That level of synchronization with the vendors, but there's also a very high level of transparency also is needed. You cannot squeeze out the vendor and think that let me get all the benefit of inventory and push in vendor to carry all the inventory, then the model fails. The transparency of the forecast is very important, and your what is your production plan, what are your demand plans, so that vendor can also plan accordingly. So that kind of hand holding, the concept of vendor parks and all those things come from that side only, vendor parks. And automobiles are very ahead, much ahead of other companies, FMCG, I can say, in managing the vendor environment.
And again, one more, I think, follow-up question from Mr. Abhijit. His question is about how do you handle forecast variance?
See, forecast variance, I was on both sides. I was heading the supply planning. I used to fight with the demand planner when I was, and then I became the head, and I had both supply and demand planner under me fighting with each other. So the forecast variance, what we try to introduce the inputs which are going in creating that forecast, the more finer you can get, and that needs your hand holding more with the marketing team. That's why in the beginning, and the most, I think one of the learning I had when I started sitting as a category supply head, I used to sit with the marketing and learn a lot that how those innovations and promotions are designed, how much uplift are they expecting from that, how that uplift is built into those forecasts. So the more and more granular you go, if you're creating the forecast yourself. Now, what I'm telling is statistical forecasting, but I think 2 years down the line, everything will be maybe overtaken by machine learning. Because slowly, this concept test are already started, where you give machine the power, you feed everything, it can already extract your past sales, it can see all the promotions uplifts, it takes the promotion uplifts happened in the past, and then it will compare and automatically get the forecast. So what I'm telling you is a granular level, how we used to like do last time when we did this promotion, only 10% uplift happened. Why are you saying it will happen 20 this time? Let's make it 10, keep the supply ready. If 20 happens, we respond. So the more granular you go, only forecast variance can be managed that way, very granular.
And here's a question from Mr. Nityanand Chauhan. His question is, nowadays, raw material change to quick fix the final product is happening more to correct supply chain shortage. Your opinion on this? Thank you, Nityanand.
So thanks, Nitin. I have been in this situation many times. if once my supplier factory got fired. But again, I'm coming from maybe my view will be more biased because I've worked in P&G and Unilever, which are very organized, very structured. So we used to have a BCP matrix already ready, where for every material, every supplier, we used to have already documented with what will be the BCP supplier. So the moment, and I was MSM, multiple supply manager that time. So if one supplier is not able to deliver, I know which is the next person I need to go to, next supplier I need to trigger. And there was a global organization which will support me in connecting all the dots. They'll be already in the system contract signed off. So that is the way we dealt with. Yes, COVID threw a lot of surprise for bottles and all the sanitized stuff. So there you had to, but again, the best part I've seen is these companies are big companies because they never, take shortcuts. So all the rules were followed, the vendor qualification, they were done most faster. So if 5 people have to approve, everybody will work overnight to test everything, do everything, and then approve, but no shortcuts. So for us, anytime in my career, whenever I've seen raw material chain, it has gone through the whole, either it was BCP approved, already approved, testing has been done, or approval has done very short notice with people coming together and doing it, like COVID situation.
Now, this is a question from Ms. Rajesh. His question is how to control the inventory at our premises in project-based company, with reference to the 100-crore company and having an inventory of 14 crores. How do you see this?
Project-based company, like construction project or what kind of project then? Because as I'll see, my manufacturing experience, I said always keep FG low, RMPM high. In RMPM also split into the matrix of how reliable is your supplier. In fact, we used to give a score to the supplier. Based on their reliability score of past performance, we used to if this is a good supplier, we can tackle with them with low inventory. If it is not a good supplier, quality issue, supply issue, we used to little bit keep higher inventory. So you just a project-based company is not like to give you complete solution. Maybe offline you can drop a mail. I can try to understand your background.
I think he is qualified saying that it's a manufacturing-based company, Neha.
Manufacturing. Yeah, so same thing. FG value is always higher than RMPM, no? So if you cut on FG, first of all, seeing your from your factory or your location till the supply, how is the route you have created? First FG, because FG value is always higher and it gives you more flexibility. Like the best example people give of Asian Paints. When I was in MBA, people used to, it's called delayed differentiation, where in Asian Paint shop, they don't keep all the paints and colors ready. They keep the pigments ready. You go to the shop, they have a mixer already there. They do the mixing and give the paint to you. That is called delayed differentiation. So you are not carrying a lot of paint which people don't buy and later you have to scrap. Better you do delayed differentiation, you create the customization later part. So similarly, FG, keeping FG is never preferred. You keep optimum FG and then you play around with your raw material, impact material, depending upon your suppliers. So I used to create a matrix. I said same country, same city, same country, or same imported, and then I used to see their scores, and then I used to plot them whether I want to make them JIT or I want to hold the inventory at a bonded warehouse, or I want to make the supplier, kind of shared VMI where they will come and see their inventory. So there are multiple models of inventory you will see. So depending upon your supplier reliability, you can choose which model you want to go with.
Now, I think there's a follow-up question from Mr. Nityanand. His question is 10 years of research-oriented material, how that can replace just 1 year or month, detailed analysis.
Which question is this? Sorry.
Nityanand.
Nityanand. 10 years of research-oriented material, how that can replace 1 year of 1 month of detailed analysis? It can. These are the times. These are the changing times, like how 1 year of COVID can, literally vanish all of us. But yeah, this is happening. What I meant is more detailed analysis of what you strategy want to adopt. That is very important. Because, maybe you have 10 years of data sitting with you, but how you're consuming that data to put everything together and make a strategy for you is very critical.
And this is a question from, again, one more question from Mr. Umesh. His question is AI, can AI be customized as per organization requirement tools, or is it standardized as per AI tool?
No, that is the power. They're customizing it. So I will tell you typical example, like a general example, like suppose my company, and don't take it as Diageo, disclaimer, but in general, suppose I want to create an inventory tool. I want a tool So this company will send their experts. I will sit with them like my experts. We will discuss that what logics we want to follow, what are our basic root decision tree, what are our data sources. Then they will start working on it, and then they will create. Do you want to what parameters you want to see in your dashboard? Which warehouses you want to give importance? So that is their power. They customize a lot, and they make the tool very comfortable for you to use, both interface wise and what you want to prioritize or deprioritize in your day-to-day viewing.
Very good. I think one last question from our side, Neha, is that I think all of us must have heard about this great company called as Zara fast fashion, and how it is actually revolutionized the entire idea of the supply chain. And then
Which one?
actually
Sorry, which company?
Zara.
Zara, yeah.
Yeah, so I think the way it has contracted the traditional supply chain, because earlier the fashion used to be almost about, by the time it was launched in Milan, or the fashion capital, the rest of the world it will take about one and a half years time. But I think what Zara has done is it has shrunk this entire thing to just about maybe 1.5 months to 2 months kind of thing. Now, how could it do? It's a small village actually, where it actually operates from. But the way it has been doing it, every small, every town, every store that it is owning, and it makes sure that in just about 2.5 months time, the best of the fashion material is available, and it's the same quality, right? So if there's any lesson that we can have, one is from the point of view of what lessons we can learn. Second one is that and like sometime back in your presentation, you were referring to something about a strategy or leadership kind of approach. Now, what will be the most deciding factor for any company to decide in favor or against, in terms of should we own the source of supply, so that we can have not only a better control of the supply, but also to make sure that we can reach out to the customer in time. That's one. And especially very critical items, like for example edible things, there's no question of anything going wrong. I think the margin of error is negative, forget about zero kind of thing, because it's very it's something it can be fatal actually. So therefore, from the point of view of strategy, from the point of view of leadership, what can actually decide either in favor or against of the idea of owning the source of material? And that's one. And then from the point of view of the Zara example, how do you make sure that, because this is happening even before pandemic, even before this happened, but somehow they made sure that the only thing that was driving them is how do you make sure that we are able to put in our stores the best of the material, the fashionable material, in the shortest possible time. Of course, definitely the quality for sure.
Yeah. So first of all, a disclaimer: I'm not expert in the textile or fashion industry, supply chain, but whatever I've learned from my seniors, because many of my close seniors are in fashion industry now from Unilever. So I don't think they are the best to learn supply chain, because first of all, they're but I can say they're very customer focused, which you are right. They're very, very customer focused, but they have the highest inventory and scrapping.
Okay.
Because fashion changes, the demand planning is a nightmare in fashion industry, what I know, because their accuracy is numbers are very low. At the same time, the fashion changes so fast that the heaviest inventory and scrapping happens in the fashion industry. There are some articles you read about it. The highest scrapping happens across fashion industry, because whatever you see, either now they have online sales to clear something of that, but otherwise they have I don't think they balance, try to optimize cost with, because the margins are very high there. The margins of fashion are very high, especially Zara now. I don't want to quote the number, but they are very high. So that's why margins are so high that it doesn't pay to create a lot of inventory and keep on scrapping it regularly, versus the manufacturing, where we are constantly trying to balance other people writing the cost cash service, which to play around. So that is second. When you say about the again the thing of outsourcing versus in-house, uh, whatever decisions I have seen so far sometimes depends upon sometimes the soul of the company also, like what is the company ethos and motto, how much they want to how much they're comfortable outsourcing, because it's not very technologically safe. Whatever I've heard, the FMCG, or this is not that something will get leaked and it will crash the company. And same for, I think, fashion. But yes, fashion, if you see Zara and all, their sourcing base is very, very much in the Southeast Asia. The main reason is cost. It's very much based on, so outsourcing, every time I have seen this question coming, the main trigger is also always cost. Whether always, wherever I've seen it, more than speed, it was always cost. That when we want to step out and we are not able to manage the elephant inside the house, we try to be more agile by shifting to other location, cheaper location, or cheaper outsourcing. But again, very much it is in with the companies ethos, and luckily all the companies I have worked with, very much the ethos is to control the quality, make best products in house. I'm not saying outsourcing kills. Outsourcing also happens, but it's very choice based. Like and so one thing I've seen is cost. Second is technology. Like some things we are not which is not our core competency as we call it. We kind of outsource and manage from distance, like toothbrushes. In world, there are only 2-3 toothbrush suppliers which give to every company. All the FMCGs get from those 2-3 suppliers, because making good toothbrushes is their core competency. How the bristles and this. So one is cost, I have seen. One is core competency. That is not our, we don't want to invest so much learning there and, capability there to create deodorants, toothbrushes. These are very tech savvy things. So that is but yes, I'm not very big fan of personally of the textile, and not a direct experience, but whatever I read and learned. That this. And what was the second question? Sorry.
About the idea of what would be the deciding factor to whether to have, like you said, the outsourcing or
same as it. So it's most about the core competency, and second, like cost core competency. Speed wise, I have seen only few cases where the supply chain is so fragmented, the distance wise, that we are not able to reach some. I don't want to quote the exact example, but I was in Indonesia, and the geography of Indonesia is 18,000 islands, and we were analyzing that should we spread out one factory there versus only making here, just to make the speed faster to that part of the island. And I think we are asking the existing supplier only to extend their branch there versus us creating a factory, in-house creating factory. But again, I have seen companies which are holding very strong recipes or something, they don't outsource so easily. So it depends upon which industry you're in, what cost benefit you're getting, how much you want to invest in your core competency there and stuff. Absolutely. So these are a few things I've experienced.
With your permission, I'm just taking the last question from Umesh, Neha. His questions: after COVID, we found delay in the delivery of raw material and consumables, but companies were not ready to keep inventory due to cost. In such is the case, how to manage my supply chain without affecting my company cash flow and my deliveries. It is should be a win-win situation for my customer as well as for my company. And please let me have your opinion.
So yes, this is a common pain across, even to me also. My also pain was this, that how to manage without inventory. But I think the one upstream wise, I feel resilience creation is very important. One thing the world has woken up to: don't only depend on one country for every supply because it's cheapest, but also spread out your wings. So that is one thing. At the same time, downstream part, you are very lucky. You will be very lucky if you can segment your customers, and percentage wise, how much they are. So we have some, joint demand planning with some big customers. Because what creates inventory is the demand accuracy issues, correct? If you can balance or control your demand even 50%, you can be able to control 50% of your sales. 50 is a big number I'm telling, but sometimes I've seen one market in my companies where 2-3 customers are making 70% of the sales.
Absolutely.
So in that time, if you can manage the demand, so your inventory pain reduces slightly. But this tussle will always continue in supply chain, the cash cost service. This will always continue.
Thank you so much, Neha, and we have overshot your time, but absolute pleasure hosting you with a great topic. I'm sure a lot of people will reach out to you separately or independently.
Feel free. I hope I can answer. I'm not expert. I'm also learning like you. And supply chain, and that's why I started this slide. We all are trying to balance these 3 things, and in the process, and that is why everybody is trying to use AI, because beyond a point, getting demand accuracy above 80-90%, like 80% is also a challenge sometimes. So depending upon the industry again, and your SKUs, how they are eating the demand. But again, it's a challenge. That's why we are trying to digitize as much as possible so that we can get more accurate.
Absolutely. So thank you once again from all of us, from all of our participants, for sparing your Saturday evening, especially, and we look forward to having you once again, maybe with another topic, maybe with another interesting facet of supply chain management, Neha. And I'm sure as we keep learning, I'm sure you will keep adding new more tools and techniques to your inventory, also learning inventory. But thank you so much from all of us, for having spent your evening, and most importantly, giving us a lot of insightful thoughts on supply chain management, Neha.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.